Game theory is actually a part of philosophy. It's a mathematical model of games. Games are serious business. See, games are not fun necessarily. They can be fun. That doesn't make a game a game. A game isn't a game by... Fun is not one of the criteria of a game. Criteria of a game involve objectives and goals, and they involve restrictions. You with me? And at the end of the day, that's our lives. And that's the world. It's a game. You've got objectives and you've got restrictions. And that's it. It's neutral. It's neutral. We need to learn how to get to our objective without falling into quicksand, understanding that the restrictions are part of the game. You with me? And this is what we have to be very careful of. Now, I come from a perspective of health. I have been a lover of the human body in a scientific sense, in all senses really, for 30 plus years, and I've studied it hardcore. Not because I have to, but because I love it. You know, some people, it's like if somebody likes the Broncos or somebody likes the football team, they don't have any home runs somebody hit. I know about vitamin C and molecular reactions. That's my thing. Okay? I'm a nerd that way. I like chemistry. I'm fascinated with chemistry. I first saw biochemistry when I first took biochemistry in pharmacy school. I'm a pharmacist by trade, although I don't practice that really. When I first understood biochemistry and how we are biochemical beings, I became so deeply spiritual. So deeply spiritual that to this day, my whole life is directed by the incredible nature, the magical, divine, whatever word you want to say, spectacularly scientific, intricate nature of what we are, of what our bodies are. You guys, we're composed of 100 trillion little entities that are conscious, that are capable of producing millions and millions and millions of different substances. You want to talk about change? Millions and millions and millions of different molecular substances every split second. Not second, split second. With an intricacy and a precision and a choreography and a compartmentalization at this not nano level, femto, pico level, tiniest of levels, beyond science fiction, beyond our imagination. It's what we are. Yet, we don't have the first friggin' clue on how to take care of it. And what makes matters worse is there's a system in place that exploits that, that manipulates that, that takes advantage of that for its own nefarious ends. But there's many levels to this game. There's many restrictions to this game. And one of the most important of these restrictions is to understand that falling into fear and falling into anger is part of the plan. It's part of the plan. It's one of the restrictions. Because when we fall into fear and we fall into anger from a biochemical perspective, from a health perspective, we shut down. We close. We contract. I am the guy who's privy to the disease process in a personal sense on a repeated way. You may get sick, and you may get sick, and you may get sick, or you may have a family member who gets sick. But I see it thousands of times in a lifetime. I see it over and over and over and over again. The disease process, the breakdown process, is a direct manifestation of contraction that has a metaphor that is metaphorized by fear. That fear is a reflection of, because ultimately there's only two forces. Anybody do A Course in Miracles ever?
Yeah.
What are the two forces?
Love and fear.
Love and fear. Love and fear. Everywhere you look. You call it light and dark. You can call it sickness and health. You can call it building and breaking down. You can call it good and evil. You can call it disease and health. Did I say that one? Disease and health. You call it any kind, yin and yang. You call it whatever you want. It's a primal distinction. The fundamental distinction. It's light and dark, good and bad, disease and health. And they're all the same thing. And fear represents contraction and it represents disease. And love represents expansion and it represents health. Fear represents fragmentation. Love represents health. Love is the attractive force. Health comes from the same place as holy, as whole, one piece. You guys get this? Fragmentation, separation is what we have to be careful of. So, hang on. You obviously want to ask something, babe.
Let's hold questions till there, guys.
Yeah, do you have something you want to say?
Well, I just wanted to say that our government runs on fear. That's why
Yes.
Jill Stein is saying,
Yes.
vote your values, not your fears.
Yes. Well, hang on. Let me just finish my thought here. Fear is a reflection of the unknown. Fear is a reflection of the unknown. This is why faith and love go together. Faith is the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when you know something without seeing it. And that's why faith is related to love. Fear, on the other hand, comes from when we don't understand something. We don't know something. Anybody ever get cancer? Anybody know anybody got cancer? The ultimate mystery fear. Actually, no, the second ultimate. Death is the ultimate. In the world of health, if we don't understand how to run our bodies, we will automatically fall into fear. We will automatically fall into contraction. We will automatically fall into the disease process and the breakdown process. And so my mission in life, even though I'm an activist, I'm not an activist, is to help activists. I'm not a political activist, I'm a health activist. I'm like the EMT at the Grateful Dead concert. You guys can go party and I will take care of things and I'll help you understand things and I'll be neutral in the battle. Okay, somebody has to do that. Somebody has to be the EMT, right? So my mission in life is to help people understand their bodies. To understand this Lamborghini that we're running, Lamborghini doesn't even, doesn't begin to say what it is, but it's just kind of metaphor for this extremely fine-tuned precision machine that we have, that we don't have the first friggin' clue about how to take care of. How many of you guys know where your gallbladder is? We have an educated crowd. Usually there's not that many. That's good. How many of you know what your gallbladder does? Damn, I'm impressed. Are you a medical person or? Homeopathic. Okay. How many non-medical people know what their gallbladder is or what it does, or their pancreas, or their, or spleen, or any other system? Well, some of you, obviously we're in an educated crowd, but the vast majority of people don't.
I'm in A&P right now.
You're what?
So A&P, Anatomy and Physiology.
Okay. All right, good, yeah. Good. You're probably on top of it.
No.
But most people don't know. And that's why when a woman goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, you got ovarian cysts, we have to take your ovary out, you're like, whatever. Or you got stones in your gallbladder, we got to take your gallbladder out, you're like, whatever. Take it out. I don't know what that silly thing does anyway. We're confronted on so many different scandals and epidemics and abuses from a physical level that it's like biblical. It's on so many different levels. It's pesticides, and it's topsoil, and it's synthetic foods that didn't exist 200 years ago that we're subsisting on, and it's sugar, and it's pharmaceuticals, and it's we're being assaulted on so many different levels from a physical perspective, organismic perspective. Because you know what? Ideas are great, and I'm an ideas person. Love is great, and feelings are great, but ultimately we're organisms. We're biological organisms. And we're confronted at an organismic level attack on a moment-to-moment basis. And it has to be conscious. It can't be that stupid. And it has to be, if it is conscious and it is planned, it has to be on such a high level that it's like mind-blowing. It's like galactic or cosmic. That's how big a level it has to be, if it's conscious, because that's how well the plan is. But it's a game. It's a game, which means we can get from point A to point B if we understand how to play it. You guys get me here? If we understand how to play the body game, the health game, the physical game, the what we are as an organismic level game, we can get from point A to point B, which the way I look at it is to go from birth to death and not rot on the way, which is what happens. Okay, got it? We go from point A to point B and we decay and we rot because we don't understand how to take care of this machine. What makes matters worse is that the system is set up to prey on that, to exploit that, to leverage that. But it doesn't mean to get upset about it. Do you guys know the story of the scorpion and the frog? Anybody know the story of the scorpion and the frog? Should I tell the story of the scorpion and the frog?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in its nature.
What's that? Yes. The scorpion and the frog. A scorpion and frog are walking down the road, and they come to a river, and the scorpion says to the frog, "Hey, you can swim. I can't swim. Can I get on your back and we'll go across the river?" And the frog says, "Are you crazy? You're a scorpion. I'm not going to let you on my back. Scorpions bite frogs." And the scorpion says, "Don't be silly. If we're out in the middle of the river and I bite you, you're going to drown, then I'm going to drown. That would be stupid. I'm not going to do this. Why would I do something that stupid?" Frog thinks about it and he goes, "Sure. Okay, that makes sense. Get on my back." So the scorpion gets on the frog's back and the frog goes through the river, comes halfway through the river, and now, boom, the scorpion bites the frog. And as the frog is dying, dropping down, and the scorpion is dropping down with him, the frog says, "You stupid scorpion! What did you do? You bit me, now I'm going to drown, and you're going to drown. How could you be so stupid?" And the scorpion goes, "I'm a scorpion. That's what I do." And likewise, we've got a model that's in place. We've got institutions that are in place. Medical institutions, health institutions, pharmacological institutions, food institutions. Institutions everywhere that are scorpions, and it doesn't do us any good to rail about it. That's what they do. But through understanding, and in my case, understanding health, and in a more political sense, understanding the political system, understanding what we're up against, we can eliminate fear, because fear is based on the unknown, and we can navigate the restrictions to go from point A to point B, which from a physical perspective is getting to be about 120 years old to 150 years old, or at least 100 years old, without rotting on the way, to where you're still playing tennis in your 90s.
Wow.
What's that?
Wow.
And it can be done. It's done all the time. It's done all the time. It's not done a lot, but it's done all the time. There are people playing tennis in their 90s. There's people climbing up the Empire State Building, going up and down the stairs. Some guy won a marathon or some kind of race going up and down the Empire State Building. Jack LaLanne was pulling boats with his teeth. I don't know if he was doing that. He was doing something dramatic when he was like, right? Something crazy.
He like swam
something
across
ridiculous.
the English Channel,
Yes.
pulling 6 boats with his teeth
Yes.
when he was 80 years old.
Guys, that's what's possible. That is what's possible if we understand the Lamborghini. So I'm going to tell you about the Lamborghini. I'm going to tell you how the whole disaster starts, how this health disaster. Now, some of you are very young here. I see very young people. You have no idea what awaits you if you're like a standard American. Now, you're not a standard American, so you're probably going to be skewed a little bit towards the slowing down the aging process. But for the standard American, the aging process is not a good thing. It doesn't have to be such. But we have to understand how the thing falls apart if we're going to understand how to fix it. Correct?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. We've got to understand how the thing is a disaster if we're going to understand how to make a difference with it. Now, before I even get started, I've got to tell you this, because I always start, sometimes I forget, but I like to always start my talks by saying healing and health are multidimensional, as is all of life. There's a spiritual dimension, a mental dimension, an emotional dimension, and a physical dimension. And the mental and emotional are like two sides of the same coin, the way I look at it. From a health perspective, all disease to me is spiritual, in the sense that we feel disconnected. Remember, there's a relationship between fragmentation and disconnection and disease, correct? You guys get that? There's a relationship between wholeness and health and fragmentation and disease. And ultimately, we feel spiritually disconnected when we're sick, or when we're diseased, or we're not accessing our healing powers. We feel somehow a lack of connection with what the divine force, which is always whole. That's the only way disease can show up. So if somebody's not feeling as good as they should, if they've got cancer, if they've got acne, if they've got anything, there's a spiritual component that is a reflection of a sense of disconnection. And I don't want to belabor that point, but I just want you to know that's where I'm coming from. And then it goes down mentally and emotionally. Every time you think a thought, chemistry changes, for better or worse. The Bible says you're either with me or against me. Right? You're not in one, you're either one or the other. You're either in love or fear. One or the other. From a mental perspective, if you're thinking crappy thoughts, you're making crappy chemistry. Crappy thoughts are anger, crappy thoughts are jealousy, crappy thoughts are rage, and there's a relationship between crappy thoughts and crappy feelings. They're almost the same. This is an artificial distinction, basically. Because every time you think a thought, there's a corresponding feeling, and vice versa. Every time you feel a feeling, there's a corresponding thought. And that creates chemistry, and that creates either the chemistry of wellness and health and building, or the chemistry of disease, the chemistry of love or the chemistry of fear, the chemistry of building or the chemistry of breaking down. You guys with me? Making sense?
Yeah.
You see, this is, right? You like this?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, good. All right, so you got this primal distinction, love, fear, health, wellness. If you want to be healthy, if you